All in favor? All opposed?
I don't think, I don't think you need a vote to call the meeting to order, but we appreciate the documentation.
Hey, you can't, Joseph, you're an attorney, man. You can never over document. Sometimes you can, but.
No mess. Okay. Can I get a call for approval of the minutes of 6:24, 9:23, 10:28, and 2:16?
So just to make sure, Kathy, before we go to that, these are the minutes that we received that Amy prepared.
Exactly. Amy also included the 10:28 minutes that I took.
Okay.
I'd move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right, Ginger's here.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, second Ginger.
Ginger, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
And is there any discussion about the meeting minutes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. All opposed? Okay. Yes. Okay. Moving on. I will now move forward to Ginger for her chair report. Board resignation announcements.
Sadly, we have to accept the resignations of two of our board members, Dana Devereaux and Amy Botkin. They both have done a wonderful job in the service of PATH, and we all greatly appreciate it. It's been a real pleasure to work with both of these board members, and we are sad to see them go. Does anybody want to add to that?
I'd just like to thank both board members for their service.
Shall I read Amy's resignation letter?
Yeah, I would like to hear it.
Okay. Not coming up. Amy, do you have a copy that you could read?
I think she's driving. I just want to make sure she's being safe.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Ginger, I
letter's
can't
not
read it.
opening on my laptop.
Yeah. No. I just want to say to all of you, I enjoyed working with you. I wish PATH nothing but continued success. It's an amazing school and amazing staff and who I got to work with firsthand. And I just wish everybody the best.
This is Eric. I have a copy of her letter here. It says,
Oh,
Dear
thank
Ginger,
you, Eric.
It says, Dear Ginger, it's been my pleasure to serve as a board member for PATH Academy. As we have discussed, I am resigning my position on the board for PATH Academy, effective after the board meeting this evening. I have deep belief in the mission of PATH Academy. I am proud of the accomplishments of the last 3 years and wish the board continued success in the future. Warm regards, Amy Botkin. And Amy, I just want to say I really appreciate the honesty and hard work and grace that you showed this board. I know I've worked with you a good bit, and it's sad to see you go. But I know your heart's with PATH, and I know you'll do great things wherever you go. And just thank you for everything you've done. So.
I echo what Eric said. Amy, I want you to know I'm disappointed and sad you're leaving, but I certainly know why, and appreciate all the service you've put through. And I think all the board would say you were a crucial part to getting the charter renewed, and we appreciate all of your diligence and work to that. So thank you.
Thank you. Again, I wish you all the best and look forward to hearing more about past successes in the future.
Thank you, Amy. And particularly, we want to acknowledge your fantastic job on the Finance Committee.
And also, Amy, the financial contributions you've made and the matching grants you've gotten from your firm, it will certainly be appreciated in the future too, if you so deem they're good. So,
Thank y'all. Enough on me though. Let's go.
Ah,
Y'all are kind.
let's do a whole montage of Amy's work.
And Crystal, I apologize. I just didn't work that much with Dana, but I know Dana did a great job, and she loves Path Academy too. And I don't know if you want to speak a couple words about Dana, Crystal.
I was just gonna say, I thank Amy for her service, and Dana has been fantastic. I particularly appreciate working with her as not just a board member, but a parent. She's always there. I know when I and the school needed her, particularly for both events and board matters. And I remember her fierce responses during our renewal in terms of the quick things that she was able to come up with to really speak to some of the things that we were later on commended on for the renewal. So Dana, if you're watching, we love you. You'll have our support. I have the pleasure of continuing to work with her. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm just thankful.
Agree. I believe Dana was a passionate board member as well. So congratulate her on her service.
I'd like to add that Dana brought a very creative aspect to the board and to the academic committee, and her enthusiasm and passion for Path were very evident, and just want to thank her again.
All right. And that concludes your chair report, Ginger.
It does.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on into committee reports. The academic committee. Will your report tie into the principal's report?
I'll just briefly say that Mr. French is going to be our minute taker for the academic committee. We have a schedule of meetings for the rest of the year posted on the website. We appreciate Mr. French's efforts and willingness to take over these responsibilities. And we discussed at our last meeting, the committee working on a strategic plan and asking Elisa to help. Kathy or Crystal, would you want to add anything?
I'm just looking forward to the work that we're going to do. We're meeting tomorrow and we're going to be delving into data for the first time this year because we just got our map data for 2 consecutive runs of the assessment. And I'm just going to make a quick clarification. It's actually Mr. Lettich.
Lettich,
I'm
yeah, that's what I was.
It's okay. It's all right. No, it's okay. It's actually Mr. Lettich that serves on the academic committee and will be the secretary. And that's Lettich with an H at the end, Kathy.
And yeah, I want to say, I'm sorry for the error, and we appreciate Mr. Laddick's willingness to serve on the committee as a teacher representative.
Okay. Great. Look forward to a fun meeting tomorrow.
That's right.
Finance committee.
I'll be the guest presenter tonight because our chairman, Trey had a previous commitment. We had a finance committee meeting yesterday, and my notes from the highlights. One, as difficult a year as it's been for the school and the world with the pandemic, we had budgeted a significant amount of reserve funds to anticipate the pandemic, as well as the threat, I guess, of significant reduction in funding from DeKalb County. And I'm happy to report that looking back through the year, we only had to use about $120,000 of our reserve funds to maintain everything we've done this year in school. So that was a significant ahead of budget. Second item I'd state is we need to commend our CFO, Sue, for the great work she's done over this period of time also. Even with what's gone on, Sue led the initiative and obtained over $340,000 of grants for the PATH school during this period for her due diligence and focusing on the procedure to get additional grants, and the school will benefit. There's a COVID grant, a facilities grant, and I think it's a CARES Act grant, another one that make up that amount. And we're using that to upgrade our technology, fulfill whatever Chromebooks we were needing, as well as improve some of the facilities at the school. And the next thing we talked about was we still feel very good about where we are financially, budget to actual. And the DeKalb County meeting on the 25th, I believe, that Crystal stated, Trey and Crystal will attend. It's virtual, where the county will talk about their funding budgets and expectations for next year. And then the finance committee will meet at the end of this month prior to our next meeting in April to start the initial process of the budget for next year. So good year. We managed our finances well through this period, and we're looking forward to working to get the work done for next year.
All right.
Hey, Joseph, where do we stand on this whole kind of lawsuit funding, cutting in funding? Is there a way you can give us any sort of, windshield view of what's going on there?
I can provide
Perfect.
well,
Or
I'll be able to
Crystal,
provide an
whichever,
update.
somebody. Yeah.
I'm on the calls, and so is Ginger with the lawyer. But we are having an update. There haven't been any updates lately, but we're having a call on Thursday. So I'll be able to provide an update, Eric, by the next meeting. There's not like an agenda or bulleted list,
Okay.
but we'll be able to provide an update as to where we are. As far as I know, based on the last one, we're still in the discovery phase of that lawsuit. And of course, I can't discuss too much on our meeting, but we can delve into the details
Okay.
in executive session if it rises to one of our 4 reasons, since it's something that's actually in litigation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Eric, do you want to go ahead and give the governance update?
Sure. Catherine and I have been meeting on governance. We've been going through kind of the bylaws, checking some things. One is and working with Elisa and Crystal on procedures of a couple of different issues. One is, getting board members, board resignations, that sort of stuff. So one thing, we had I don't remember the date, Catherine, I'm sorry. We had our governance committee meeting, but March 2nd.
Mhm.
And those meeting minutes have already been posted
The summary of
on the
actions have been
website.
posted.
And one thing that we did was I worked, and I think it was Jeff Homan, Elisa, that I guess chairman of the governance committee, and he gave us some procedures on some things. One was the makeup of our board. And I think we have a matrix of that, and that Catherine and I put together at our governance. So we want to make sure when we pull this, one of the biggest things of governance committee is the makeup of our board and the following of our bylaws, both of those two things. So we have a matrix that we put together. So when we have potential new board members that were somewhat filling the gaps of the different compositions that will strengthen our board and help support Crystal and being, the principal of the school. That's kind of what we're doing. And I'm not sure if we're going to review that. I know we sent that out. Catherine sent that out today. So we'll take any comments in the coming weeks. And it would probably be good that if each one of us board members takes that matrix that Catherine sent out and kind of rate yourself 1 to 5 of where your strengths are with respect to that matrix. That would be very helpful. I know that when we went for our charter renewal, the board makeup was a big issue, if you remember, Crystal, of what some of the questions were. And I just think we were prepared. I think we can be much better prepared if we follow this kind of guidance that Elisa and Jeff kind of suggested through the things that they sent us. So that's it. I can't remember if there's anything else we cover really in governance. Catherine, that the board needs to be.
No, we're going to review a few of the items that are to put up for motion later in our agenda.
Chris, do you have anything on that? I know it's important. The governance is set there to try to help set policy for strengthening you as a principal in the school. So is there any comments you have on that, or anything you feel we need to be working on?
Nope, I'm excited about the work.
Good.
Yeah. We have some steps we can take. Anything else from any of the board members about governance?
I wanted to just add a quick comment to our finance report. I wanted to thank Mr. French as well, our facilities manager, for his work on these grants. And I'd also I know we're acknowledging our CFO in the finance report. I'd like to add that subsequent to our last committee, right after our committee met, our second PPP loan was approved for $400,000. That is extraordinary. The work that it took for Sue to do that and the red tape that she had to kind of sift her way through was not unnoticed. And I just want to again highlight Sue's work. That is Miss Sue, as she is known at the school, lovingly. And I also want to highlight that on top of being our CFO, Sue has earned her, I don't think you guys know this, her math certification, and is co-teaching a class aside from running the finances for our school, which is her passion. So I just want to highlight how she is exemplary of the past spirit and our love for our children. Not only is she CFO, but she's co-teaching an 8th grade class with Dr. A, which is extraordinary. So she's officially on our teacher roster and working with 8th graders. I couldn't be more proud of her tonight.
That is so awesome. Congratulations. This in. Very cool. Thanks for the ad. All right. Moving on to the principal's report. And I can open it up. And I'll hit present mode. And if you'd like, I can go ahead and click when you want me to click, Crystal.
Oh, this is cool. Thank you, Kathy. Nice job. I didn't know you could do that. All right, we can click to the first slide.
Okay.
These are the 3 agenda items on my report tonight. I'm going to be sharing the pandemic plan review and some proposed revisions. We're going to be submitting these revisions to DeKalb at the end of this week. They've been asking for them. And based on some of the changes in the CDC guidelines, we have 2 minor revisions that I wanted to share with the board. I don't believe any motions are required, but I just wanted to make sure we shared them before we went ahead and submitted them to DeKalb so they can continue to have our pandemic plan on file. So I'll be sharing those tonight. I also want to share some intent to return data because those were some questions that have come up in the past. And we finally got our survey results back. And lastly, if you're on finance committee, you'll be seeing this slide for the second time this week. It's just our grant update so that we can, go through a quick run through of how we're using our grants. And that's it. You can click to the next slide. So the board is aware of our pandemic plan, and I've shared the plan as well as the CDC guidelines that I've been using to cross-reference and also make sure that our pandemic plan is up to date. It was originally written back in September and things have evolved since then. So things that haven't changed are the following. We continue to trail DeKalb by 2 weeks per our original plan, and that puts our start date back for hybrid at March 29th. That's a Monday. We are returning using a hybrid cohort model. We have 2 cohorts. They have been published to our school community. Those cohorts will have 2 days of face-to-face instruction and 2 days of asynchronous instruction. For those of you who don't know what that term means, it's independent work that they're doing online that is planned and set by their teacher. It can take the form of projects or small group work, depending on the type of class. We're also maintaining our tutorial Fridays. Tutorial are days that children can meet with their teacher in small groups, work on long-term or short-term projects, and also catch up on work. It's part of how we're building independence with them. Our hybrid handbook, which we use in-house, is going to be published to the staff and then to the community once we get their feedback next week. I would like to acknowledge specifically Dr. Perry. Our handbook is a detailed guidance for our staff. I think she's done an exemplary job authoring this handbook using the input that she has collected in collaboration with a very important committee that we formed in our school for the purpose of making sure that instruction stayed rigorous during the pandemic. And that committee is the Virtual Learning Committee, who I'll be talking a little more about later on in the presentation. So in collaboration with them, we've come up with processes and structures to support both the pandemic phase of instruction, transition to hybrid, and then eventually transition back to face-to-face learning with mitigation strategies in place and such. So I just want to acknowledge them, and I'll be acknowledging them again later on when I talk to you a bit about their work. Due to DeKalb's testing schedule, for which we have to follow federal guidelines, we anticipate a return to full face-to-face 4 days a week in order to be able to adhere to the federal guidelines for testing. So that date is April 19th, and milestones testing will begin April 20th, and it falls right in line with that 2-week lag that we've been keeping. Any questions on those general highlights? These are things that haven't changed and basically just updates. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt or just raise a hand, whatever you'd like to do. I'll be happy to answer them. Here are our proposed revisions. So we've been hearing a lot and reading a lot, I personally have been, about some of the evolution of the CDC guidelines. We use that terminology because this is a novel virus that has caused this pandemic. So we're in the process of experiencing it and researching it at the same time. Therefore, guidelines around it have changed and evolved based on what we're learning about it. And that can change from day to day. The original date that we wrote our pandemic plan was back in September, the 22nd of September, and things have changed since then. So there are 2 minor revisions that I want to bring to light that I think are important to acknowledge. The first one is what constitutes school reclosure. So what causes us to shut down again? If you hear a little high-pitched voice in the background, that would be my 6-year-old frolicking in the background. I apologize for that. So what constitutes a reclosure? Originally, our guidance on our pandemic plan and our policy was that one case constitutes a full 2-week shutdown. But since then, what we've learned through contact tracing, through interacting with the Department of Health, which I've interacted with the Department of Health, and we're thankful to the district for the partnership with them because it allows us to contact trace. And through those processes, we've learned that the new guidelines share that there can be 2 cases, 1 or even 2 cases on one campus that are not related, depending on the mitigation strategies in place at the school. That wasn't something that we were aware of before. And that, of course, wouldn't constitute a shutdown because both of those cases may not have necessarily happened at the school. So we're going to propose that we consider a shutdown, which will be very interruptive to our students and our community on a case-by-case basis. That's the first revision. Any questions on that before I move to the next one? So the next revision is when can a positive patient return to school / work? So whether it's a student or a staff member. Again, originally, we were thinking that that person needed to get a negative test result before returning back. And that is something that the CDC has been a little more public in terms of what their guidance is. They're not recommending that you use that as a barometer for whether someone should return or not, because what we're learning is that once you contract the virus, you might be symptom-free within the span of 10 to 14 days, but may continue to test positive for up to 3 months, for weeks and possibly months. So what we've done, or what we're proposing to do, is to change it to what the CDC guidelines say, which is the following. They now indicate that one generally stops shedding the virus, and this is generally 10 to 14 days after the first symptom appears and or after being 24 hours free of fever with no medication to mitigate symptoms. They also indicate that a person can continue to test positive for up to 2 to 3 months. That's up to, despite having no symptoms. So we feel like the proper way to revise that would be to revise it to saying individuals may return after 14 days or beforehand with a doctor's note and clearance.
I have to be listening to this meeting.
Ms. Clark, I think you're unmuted, just so you know. All right, so those are the 2 revisions. Any questions or discussion on this? Again, to summarize them, the first one is to go from one case constitutes a school shutdown to considering that on a case-by-case basis. And the second revision is that individuals may return back once they complete their quarantine, which is the longest amount of days is 14 days, but whatever the doctor recommends. I believe it's 10 days if you're not running a fever, or beforehand with a doctor's note, which is a little more flexible than the original policies that we had in place back when we wrote it in September. Joseph, I see you've chimed in.
No, I was just, I appreciate the review. I think the highlights make a lot of sense. I think your revisions are well thought out also, Crystal, and make sense. And then I just had an additional question. If you, just how are the teachers doing on vaccination for what you can tell us publicly?
Yeah, it's actually part of the presentation.
Oh,
it's about
okay.
2 slides away.
I'll wait.
Thank you. If there aren't any questions on this, we'll go ahead and move forward, Kathy. All right, so I'm going to share, to answer Joseph's question, it's actually part of the intent to return data that I plan on presenting tonight. So here are our overall school results. We're going to stick on this one for just a second. So these are the whole school results in terms of what folks said that they wanted to choose. We sent out another survey just to make sure we had the most accurate information. And I will share the caveat that parents who didn't complete the survey were advised that if they didn't complete it, they would be assigned to virtual unless they requested a change, but there was a deadline for the survey so that we would have the information in time to plan. So right now we're at about 58.4% requests for in-person hybrid school-wide and 41.6% for virtual. But again, that might change. Some more of those virtuals might come over to in-person hybrid, particularly when it starts happening and folks start seeing the efficiency of the program that we're running at the school. So these are our overall school data. The next slide, which we can go ahead and move forward to, Kathy, are the results by grade, which are always interesting to look at. So high level, this is already available to the board, and once it's approved along with our minutes at the next board meeting will be available to the public. But shout out to 7th grade, which had a really high percentage of in-person hybrid. But we're at over 50% for all 4 grades. But I was particularly impressed with 7th graders that want to return in person. I think it says a lot about, school and their excitement for returning. And I will say on behalf of the staff, that a lot has changed since our last meeting, including accessibility to vaccines, and we're really excited to get our kids back. I think that's more than safe to say. So any questions on this before we move to the intent to return data for staff? All right, we can move to the next slide, Kathy. So this is our staff information. It's quite simple. Joseph, the answer to your question is in this pie chart right here. And I will say that I have approved as CEO of the school 2 requests to teach remotely. These requests are validated through medical documentation, and we have the funds because we have been shut down for the majority of the year to support these 2 teachers teaching remotely, and they are prepared to do so and have the resources to do so. So I think it will be a seamless transition. We are in the process of securing the individuals that will be covering their in-person classes while they stream their classes into their classrooms from home, if that makes sense. So these teachers are going to continue to teach live stream through the Promethean board with a person in the classroom with them. There are 2 of them, and we support them 100%. 96%, which is literally everyone besides them, has elected to return on March 29th. I can't tell you all how this is a big deal at a time like this for every single person to say they're coming back. I just couldn't be more proud to work with the individuals, every single one, from the kitchen to the front office at our school. And this is our vaccination information, which they didn't even have to tell us, but it was part of our survey to the staff. We're almost at 80% either have already gotten it. I've had both of my shots, we're already at 10%. I've been vaccinated with at least 1 shot. That brings us up to almost 40%. That's almost half of the staff already went and got their shot as soon as they were released. They were released last week to teachers on March 8th. That's incredible. I don't like to get too excited about stuff. That is incredible. And the yellow folks are the folks that are waiting on their appointment. If you put all those numbers together, you see what I mean. 18% are unsure. That's also understandable. And we've got 1 no, which, we're getting vaccinated so that that person has the right to say that. You never know what the reason is. So this, to me, I couldn't be more proud. This is why I go to bat for them, because not all schools can present this type of data. So that's my intent to return data for staff. Shout out to all 47 of our PATH family. I am so proud to work with you and to serve. I'm very proud to work with you guys. Any questions on this, clarifications from our board? All right, we're gonna move to the next slide. If something pops up, there's always a question slide at the end. Okay, this is what I wanted to share with you guys. These are our grants. These are the grants that Joseph referred to in his finance report. I won't get in the weeds about them, but I want you guys to have an idea about what we're using that money for. Shout out to Mr. French, smooth transition with the facilities grant from the state. We have replaced our floors, which really needed them, especially in the art room. He has made this happen and really taken advantage of the fact that we don't have students in the building, so it is set. Usually we're rushing to get this done during the summer or trying to figure out how to do it on weekends. Mr. French has made it happen, overseen it all, worked with our contractors. We have new furniture. For those of you who don't know, all of our furniture at PATH has always been hand-me-downs, which we appreciate, but getting new furniture is a first actually at the school. It has also done wonders for our ability to abide by CDC guidelines, because for the first time we have furniture that is consistent in terms of measurements, which makes a difference when you've got a 30 by 30 classroom that you have to distance 6 feet at a time. So CARES Act, we're using that for Chromebook packages. Why? Because all of our kids have had their Chromebooks for over a year, and we don't want to stress them about things getting broken or lost. We serve a high need community. They need to learn. It's that simple. If something breaks, we want to be able to say, okay, we understand. We expect our families not to abuse that. And we want to get them their new Chromebook so they can keep on learning as soon as possible. It's like shoes on your feet. You don't ask people why they broke, you just give them a new pair. Same thing with Chromebooks. Monitors for concurrent learning. In a nutshell, what does this give us? Concurrent learning is when you're learning at a distance and teaching live students at the same time. This is what we're asking all teachers to do when we're returning during a pandemic by creating a virtual option. What these monitors do is make sure that the children learning from home are not simply voyeurs into the classroom, that they can actually interact on that one monitor for the teacher. We purchased those additional monitors with this grant. Teacher laptops, all of our teachers have PCs, personal computers, standalones. They need laptops with webcams in order to make this concurrent learning environment work, and also software for them to be able to pull more digital resources. We had a teacher software that we purchased with this particular grant. For the COVID grant, Promethean boards. Those are the big boards at the front of the room. For those of us who are old school, they have replaced chalkboards. You can write on them with your finger, you can project, you can use them as TV screens. They are also interactive. More foundational Microsoft software. And of course, we're making our teacher laptops hold. We use part of one grant to do part of the staff, the majority, and then the rest of the staff with the second grant. So that's in a nutshell how we're using these grants. Shout out to the following individuals. Each and every one of them played a role in making sure we have the right equipment to do this. This is so important. If you talk to teachers, not just in DeKalb's district, across the nation, having the right equipment makes a huge difference. And a lot of times folks don't talk to them before they make these huge purchases. And there, as you can see, this is a lot of money. This is the team, the committee that tested this equipment out before we made these huge purchases and let us know what works, down to the type of mic that they're using to teach. So this is our virtual learning committee. It started out as an ad hoc committee when the pandemic happened. These are the individuals that serve. 5th grade science teacher, Miss Luster. In 6th grade, we have Miss Newman, our 6th grade chair in social studies, and Miss Parker, the ELA teacher for 6th grade. 7th grade, our science teacher, Miss Baptiste, who has been testing equipment for 2 months in her classroom, coming in and telling us, giving us feedback on what mics work best, what swivel type of webcam, what type of monitor works best, and also experimenting with teaching from the school before it was time so she can give us feedback. Shout out to Miss Baptiste. Dr. Ray and Dr. Shrout on the 8th grade team. Connections team, Mr. Payne, Miss Jessica James Alston is the chair of this committee and our business ed teacher. I can't begin to tell you about the things I've learned from her. She also just became a certified Google Classroom instructor. She didn't just get the certification, she now teaches it to others, including our staff members. The admin team, Mr. French is on this, Mr. Martinez, our IT director, Dr. Perry, Miss Sue. You'll notice these names are familiar because they're also the same folks writing the grants. So this team's given us the information and they're finding the vendors to get us the stuff we need. And then for special education, Mr. Buckery bringing in that perspective. None of us are experts in technology, although some of our teachers like, you know, Miss James and Miss Lester and our IT director, I mean, they do things, you know, Miss Lester was just featured in the AJC for her Bitmoji classroom, which is a virtual classroom. But not everybody on this team is an expert, and that's what makes it important. They're able to tell us, these are the things that folks are comfortable with. This is what's easy to learn. They're the ones that provide the option for parents to be able to say, I want to stay virtual for this reason, or I want to go face-to-face, and we can go back and forth to keep our community safe. These are the individuals that helped us learn how to do that when we knew nothing about this when this happened. So that's why I'm so excited about acknowledging them tonight and the work that they're doing. And I hope I've made it clear how they are connected to our ability to serve. This is what it's all about, knowing what your specific community needs and giving it to them in the fastest, most efficient way possible. So shout out to Virtual Learning Committee. I really hope I didn't miss anyone. I'm so proud of you. And this is how we're using the money that we've been awarded by both the state, to do this work and being as efficient and good stewards of that money. So that's my last slide, I think. Any questions on this or any questions in general? I think the next slide, can you show me? Yeah, it's a question slide. So any questions, guys? If not, that's my report for the night. Yes, sir.
I thought that was a great report. Thank you, Crystal.
Oh, okay. Thank
Excellent.
you,
Hey,
Joseph.
great. Hey, Crystal, great report. Great work. Congratulations, Sue. It's all just wonderful. Great job.
Thank you, Crystal. I was
And,
excited.
and enjoy your tater tots.
And
Crystal, you explained everything so well that we don't really have a lot of questions.
Thank you, guys.
And yay to everyone who helped make that happen. That was like a whole huge village that brought that together. So that's awesome. Yay. Okay, and the next item is some bylaws amendments that we reviewed on the governance committee that we'd like to do. One of the proposals is to change the education and evaluation committee to academic committee because we don't have an education and evaluation committee. The next item is to expand a number of board members from 9 to 11 to help support the effort that Eric was talking about earlier, and that is expanding the diversity and also acquiring all of the items that we could on our matrix. And then I wanted to talk about evaluating the facility committee that doesn't exist today. So those are the 3 items. And can I get a motion to change the education and evaluation committee to academic committee in the bylaws?
I'll motion to change that.
Okay.
I'll second it.
A second. Eric. Okay. Sorry. Motion to update education and evaluation to academic. Okay. Motion was Joseph. Second was Eric. Any discussion? Okay. Any in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Great. So that took care of that one. And then can I get a motion to expand the number of board members from 9 to 11?
Could I make a point on this one before we motion?
Actually, I think we put the motion on the table and then open it for discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, just for clarification on this board from a governance standpoint, when there's a motion, you have to, someone has to make the motion, somebody seconds it, and then you open it for discussion. After you open it up for discussion, we take the vote.
Mhm.
Just for further action.
Exactly.
I make a motion to expand the board from 9 members to 11.
Okay. Thank you, Ginger. Ginger made the motion. Can I get a second? Aseli, are you raising your hand?
Second.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
I try to turn it on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we now open it for discussion.
All right, so this is Joseph, point of order on the, I don't have an issue expanding the board. I guess I have a question. Currently, it's slated to be 9, but we have 8 members currently after the resignation. Is that right, Kathy? Or how many? 6? Thanks for your math, Crystal. So if we go to 11, I'm just saying, will we, with 6, like everybody has to show up before we even have a quorum? So I'm just wondering, should we move in lockstep and get back to 9 before we go to 11? That's a point for discussion.
Well, I think our goal is to increase diversity with a variety of perspectives. And so I'm in favor of increasing to 11 for those reasons.
I think I understand what Joseph is asking. Let me know if I'm on point with this, but as a point of information, I think I believe in terms of governance that the quorum is always according to the number that you currently have. So our quorum changes according to the number that we have, because quorum, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is defined by more than half of the board being present. So if your concern, Joseph, is that wanting to expand the full number of the board from 9 to 11, for example, will require all 6 current members to be present, that actually isn't the case. When we have a 6-member board, our quorum would be 4, which is more than half, which would be 3. As we grow, that number would evolve with the growth of the board. Does that clarify it?
So let me answer it this way, Crystal. If you have a board of nine folks and you have 5 there, okay, if you have 5 there at the meeting, which is a quorum, if they vote 3-2, it passes. That's how governance works. So if you have 6 of the 9 there, you have a quorum, and if it's 3-3, whatever is what motion's made, if it's 3-3, it's a tie. It does not pass. So when you have a quorum, you just have to have more than 50% support of that quorum, and that issue passes. Does that help?
I mean, yeah, that helps. Yeah, that helps, Eric. I guess my question is, like I said, I don't object to expanding the board. I guess my question is on timing. Should we get 2 or 3 more members to get back to 9 before then we say, let's expand to 11, right? Because if we go to 11, I mean, we're saying we have to fill 5. We have the opportunity to fill up to 5 spots. I think it's highly unlikely we're going to almost double the size of the board in a short period of time. So
we will have to have 6 people at that. Yeah.
It's just a question of how we go about it, right? We have 6 today, right?
Yeah, we will have to have 6 people at that board meeting to.
When we have 11 members, we would have to have 6 people. We wouldn't have to have 6 people without having 11 members on the board.
Joseph, I think you make a good point. We want to have an unequal number so that we don't have tie votes.
Right.
And maybe we should just go ahead and add 3 more board members to the board.
My thinking was from the perspective is that we've initiated our board search, and we do have board members in queue that we would like to continue to bring on. Updating the bylaw would give us the bandwidth to fill in those members and get get the onboarding, meaning getting them vetted, getting the walkthrough, going through those stages that we have to go through. And by the time we vote on them, we will have this bylaw already in place so that we don't have to vote on it later. I was just trying to, my thinking was we make the space for it and then we fill it in.
I understand what you're doing, Kathy.
Mhm.
I guess another, and I don't know, is Elise still on? Maybe this is a question, just if you have a board that has up to 11 openings, but you struggle, not struggle, but it takes a while to fill 11 spots versus you have a board with 9 board members and you're, one short. I'm just thinking of the actual implementation of adding board members and keeping board members, right? The longevity of the board members. Like I said, it's just a point of discussion. I
Yeah.
agree with expanding it. I just would like us to think through that.
It's timing. Lisa's not on, but Ayana Clark is on.
Elisa's on.
Oh, Lisa's on?
Yep, I can see her in panelists.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was looking in.
Oh, wait. No, Ayana's on.
Yeah, I only see Ayana.
I thought I saw Elisa earlier, but got it. Sorry.
Ayana, I think what we're looking to you is a best practice if we should expand our board members and our bylaws, or if we should obtain the current 9 that we're working on and then work on expansion. She's on mute.
Hey, Ayana, are you able to hear us? We're not sure if you can hear us. We just have a
Yes.
question for you.
Oh, there she is.
Thank you.
Sure.
Did you hear the question, Ayana? Sorry.
No, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, okay. We're looking for a best practice on expanding the number of board members. So we were looking at updating our bylaws from 9 to 11.
Yes.
And we were wondering, since currently right now we're at 6 members, should we work on obtaining the 3 that our current bylaw says, and then expand our bylaws after we've obtained the 9? Or does timing
putting-
matter?
Timing doesn't necessarily matter. Set your bylaws in line with what your goal is. And so I did hear the discussion, if the goal is 11, then set the bylaws to 11. And in terms of a concern in regards to quorum, as Crystal had explained, your quorum is based on current active members. So that doesn't have to be a concern. And then I did hear about this, a part of the discussion in regards to, possibly being able to find 5 members, which is almost doubling your board. And it's fine, if you can't do that, in a short amount of time, that's still fine. You set your bylaws in accordance with what your target is, and you continuously move towards that target through your recruiting efforts. Does that answer the question?
Yes, we appreciate the feedback.
Okay, sure. No problem.
Thank you, Ayana.
Welcome.
Hey, Ayana, real quick, this is Eric Johnson. So if we expand the board to 11 people, it will, in the bylaws, it will mean that we have to have, will it mean, even if we only have 9, say we have 8 members, does that mean that we got to have 5 folks at the meeting to create a quorum? Or do we, if we have 11 board seats, not all filled, do we have to have 6 to create a quorum.
So, right, it's your current number of board members. So you would need, if you had 8 members active,
Say
you
it's
would
9.
need 5. And if it was 9,
Got it.
you would
Thank
also
you.
need,
Okay, that answers my question. I thought so.
okay.
5. That's correct. Okay, I was just making sure. I thought so.
So it seems like we have 6 now after tonight's resignations, as Crystal pointed out. We would need 4 at any time to hold a meeting, right? So, and that's regardless of whether we say the board members and the bylaws are 9 or 11. I
Exactly.
think that's right. You're nodding your
That's-
head. Okay. Okay. No, that was my discussion. I appreciate it. You guys answered that. We appreciate Ms. Clark's input. So I have no other discussion points on this motion.
Great. Okay, if there are no other discussion points, are we ready to take a vote? Okay. All in favor of expanding updating our bylaws to expand board members from 9 to 11?
Aye.
I'm
All opposed? Yes, okay. Thank you. And the last item, and this last motion kind of helps with the last item, expanding it will help us form a facilities committee, which we don't have right now. And Eric has offered to chair that committee once it is able to get off the ground. The question I had is, do we still want a facilities committee? And do we want to keep it? Well, if we still want it, then we keep it in our bylaws. Or do
So-
we remove
yeah.
it from our bylaws?
Thanks, Catherine, for bringing that up. We talked about this. So the facility committee, Crystal, as you know, and Joseph, is basically how we're dealing with the lease with Oglethorpe and what we're thinking about relative to long-term if Oglethorpe has different plans for the property. Okay, so that's basically what we've talked about. And I think in the coming months, I think we need to refocus on that. Maybe, Crystal, we go and visit the new president of Oglethorpe. I don't know if you have lately or met them. I don't know. I know we did a long time ago, you and I and Mark Zamora, and I actually haven't been over there since then. So
I
don't know if
actually,
you have
I-
or not
yeah, I
had any
have.
much discussion with them.
I have, right before we shut down, I met with the outgoing president of Oglethorpe. Whoever was coming with me that day, and I don't remember who it was, couldn't make it. So it ended up just being him and I. This is the previous president. And I also met with their new CFO. Both of them were very, very nice. I shared with them that my intention was to renew in 2025. So we shared that at that meeting. And then the next steps were to usher in the new president, and there was going to be an event for that. And unfortunately, COVID shut us down. But I will say that although I haven't heard from the new president, I'm sure he was coming into a whole lot when that was happening. I actually have heard from their CFO, who's been checking on us the entire time we've been shut down, asking if we're okay and how we're doing. And I've been sharing with him, we're all right, we're in virtual learning. So yeah, so we've been in light contact during the last year, and we had a meeting just before, it was in early March. So right before we shut down, we had a meeting on the books at Oglethorpe. So I'm happy to pick that back up. I'm real straightforward, Eric. So everybody always knows where I'm standing. I'm not hard to figure out. So the last meeting we had, I did share that it was my intention to renew, but I knew it wouldn't go on forever. So we're open to that conversation as well.
Right. Perfect. However, I can support that, Crystal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to hear that it should be an agenda item that we constantly have on our radar.
Okay.
At this point, Eric, I don't know if we need another committee But
No,
I something
no,
we,
I don't either. I don't, Crystal, if you
Yeah.
want to take the lead on it, and we just support you
yeah.
how we need to on that. I'm not up for chairing another committee. I'd be
Okay.
glad to do it, but just know that whatever you need, we'll be there to help you with it. Okay.
I think I can handle it. I do intend to get another meeting on the calendar once things settle out with opening the school up, and I'll always keep you guys abreast in case anybody wants to come with me. And we'll do it like that for now until things get closer to 2025.
Great.
Or I even may suggest, Chris, we can talk about it, whatever, but it just might be a good opportunity to have him or come to a board meeting, invite him to a board meeting, meet the board, or he or she, whoever the CFO or whatever, will work with you on that, but just let's keep it top of mind.
Yeah, he's been really nice and considerate to even think about us during this time. So he's a really nice guy.
That does sound great that he's checking on you.
Okay. So based on that conversation, can I get a motion to remove the facilities committee from the bylaws?
I make a motion.
I second.
Joseph, all in favor?
Fine.
Great.
I love how I offered to be a chair of a committee that I just
Now you
voted
feel
to
we
take
don't
out
need.
of the bylaws. I just want everybody to know that.
I think it's a good thing. I think it shows
That's
that we
awesome.
understand how committees work and we're being efficient. I think it's a good thing.
Very good.
I voted yes to vote no.
Any further discussion on it? Okay. Motion passes. Sorry, I should have done that before the vote. All right. We're almost there. The next item, now that we've had most of our business taken care of, is to have board candidate interviews. We do have 2 board candidates that we have vetted. One of them is in our panel now, Alejandra Cortez. And at this point in time, we would like to initiate an interview with her to get to know her. She is currently a PATH parent, and I'm going to let Aceli, who Aceli has told her about the board. And Aceli, would you like to tell us more about Alejandra?
Hi. Okay, Alejandra is a mom and she likes to help at the school. She's the 4th year and she has a son and he's on 5th grade. And she's happy to help us, but the only thing, she don't speak English, but like, I don't know, what do you think about, like, we have Carty and we have Crystal, maybe they can help her with that, or I can help, I don't know too much too, but I can help anything she needs.
And I'm happy to translate for Alejandra for any questions that any of the board members have for her.
I just want to say that I have had the opportunity to welcome Alejandra first to our school community as a new parent of a 5th grader. And I also walked the school with her about 2 weeks ago. And she is really, really enthusiastic about advocating for the school. And I love that I love an honest, straightforward person. I'm from New York. Everybody knows that. I tell you guys every chance I get. So I like it when folks are forthcoming about their intentions. So I really liked her energy during that meeting. I'm going to translate what I'm saying so that she knows what I'm saying about her. Hola Alejandra, soy yo, la señora Clark. Estamos hablando de usted en la reunión ahora que está en el punto de entrevista para tratar de adquirirse a la junta. Y lo que yo comenté es que su energía me gustó mucho cuando nos reunimos, que comencé conociéndote, dándote la bienvenida a la comunidad, cuando su hijo David entró a nuestra escuela, y me siento bien entusiasmada para trabajar con usted porque lo que yo experimenté cuando nos reunimos es que tiene una buena energía para apoyar a la escuela y necesitamos padres y madres como usted. Así que espero que ellos consideren eso.
¡Qué emoción! Ay, estoy excited, estoy emocionada. No puedo hablar inglés, pero los
I'm
puedo
very
entender un poco.
emotional. I don't speak English and I'm very excited.
Y estoy, no saben, bien orgullosa de estar aquí.
I'm very proud to be here.
Y también Celi sabe que siempre digo que estoy orgullosa de ella.
And Aseli knows how proud I am of her.
Y ahora también de usted, Crystal, porque también yo puedo ver que usted es una mujer emprendedora.
And now you, Crystal, I can see that you are a strong businesswoman.
Y orgullosa también de las personas que están aquí en la reunión, porque
I'm
a pesar de
proud
que no las conozco,
everyone that's here, and even though I don't know everyone, and I don't know, I don't know everyone.
sí, se agradece el trabajo que hacen por la escuela, por las familias y
We
gracias.
are grateful for the work that you do for the school and the families, and thank you.
Sí, perdón que voy a estar en silencio porque soy mamá, tengo niños pequeños y hay mucho ruido aquí, pero muchas gracias por la bienvenida y espero aprender de ustedes y gracias, de verdad.
I will be on mute and I will be listening, and as I have small children in the room. Alejandra, para poder explicar el proceso que estamos, ahorita estamos entrevistándola ahorita y luego vamos a ver, a lo mejor si votamos su participación, a lo mejor hablamos más, pero ahorita estamos en la entrevista. Entonces, a lo mejor vamos a tener unas preguntitas para usted, si puede obtener el mute puesta y no puesta cuando se necesita.
Sí, está bien, sí puedo.
Gracias. I just explained to her the process that we're in and where we're at right now, and that we're currently interviewing her, and then we will figure out what our next action will be. Does any of the other board members have any questions?
Kathy, I was just going to ask you if she could maybe tell us a little about herself, just totally, help us, since we can't meet her live, maybe she could tell us about herself. And then maybe the second question would be, tell us what she thinks one of the best things the path has going for it, and where she sees some of the challenges at the path.
Alejandra, ¿entendiste la pregunta que tienen para usted o se lo explico una vez más?
Si lo puede explicar, por favor.
Sí, la primera parte de la pregunta es si puedes decir algo de usted, algo que queremos saber de usted, su vida, cosas que debemos de saber. La segunda parte es, ¿qué es lo mejor que te gusta de nuestra escuela y qué son las oportunidades que podemos cambiar en nuestra escuela?
Bueno, de mi vida personal es que soy mamá,
Just to
tengo
let you
5
know,
niños
I'm a mother of 5 children.
y voy a ser honesta.
I'm going to be honest.
Antes, cuando recién mi hijo comenzó la escuela,
Before my son started school,
yo no estaba nada involucrada en cosas de la escuela, ni siquiera sabía que la escuela hacía eventos de Día de las Madres, de San Valentín.
I didn't know that there was events. I didn't know there was opportunities for me to be involved as a mother.
Y después, lo bueno que me di cuenta a tiempo.
The great thing is that I found out on time.
Y yo dije, oh my God, ¿qué estoy haciendo con mi vida?
And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life?
Y en la vida de mis hijos también en la escuela, porque yo soy mamá en casa 24.
And in the life of my children and in the school, because I'm also a mother.
Siempre estoy con ellos en casa, gracias a Dios que no trabajo por estar con ellos.
I'm always home with them. Thank God I get to be home with them and be at their side.
Pero ya cuando supe de todo lo que la escuela hacía, los eventos, cosas.
When I learned all the events that the school has to offer,
decidí yo involucrarme y
I decided to get involved.
Y siempre solo sabía que uno podía asistir a la escuela, como ver los eventos que hacía la escuela y todo eso.
Learned I was able to support, I was able to see the events and be there, but I didn't know
pero nunca sabía que uno también podía ser parte de eso,
And I didn't know I
apoyar.
could be part of it.
Y ahora desde que sé, yo quiero estar en todo, quiero estar
And now
lo
I
que
want
yo
to
pueda
be involved
desarrollar,
in,
lo quiero hacer.
and now I want to be involved in everything, be involved all over as much as I can, and give all that I can to the school.
Más que nada porque David es mi primer hijo, es el que está en la escuela con ustedes.
And more than anything, because David is my firstborn and he's in school with you.
Pero también quiero que mis otros hijos
Also
estén
want my
ahí y vean
other
eso
children,
también.
my other children to be there and to see what it's all about.
Entonces, bueno, esta es una pequeñita parte de mí,
This is just a small little bit of who I am.
pero y sobre la escuela, desde
And in regards
gra-
to the school,
yo agradezco a Dios y a la persona que a mí me llevó a inscribir a esa escuela,
and I am grateful to God and the person that led me so that I can register to this school.
porque yo no había escuchado nada de esa escuela. Creo que había
Pues,
escuchado,
I never heard of the school. I had heard,
pero te digo, estaba perdida del
but
asunto.
I was very lost in the whole process.
Y lo bueno que me di cuenta a tiempo antes de que David terminara el cuarto grado, que tenía la posibilidad de ir a esa escuela.
And I was so grateful that I found out on time, right as David was finishing 4th grade, and I was able to.
Sí. Porque toda la gente que conozco habla maravillas de la escuela, que
Because
es Academy, que es una escuela charter, que
talks about how
hablan
great
cosas
the
buenas.
school is. It's a charter school. It's wonderful.
Sí, así que yo dije, no, mi hijo tiene que estar ahí.
And I said, my son be there.
Sí, entonces también le doy gracias a Celi porque también por ella conocí más de la escuela y de,
And I'm grateful to Aseli because of her, I learned more about the school.
Y de que puedo también con mi desempeño, ¿verdad? Y con mis ganas ser parte también de este grupo.
And I was, with my will, I'm able to be part of this group.
Así que, pues sí, te digo, no sé qué más decir. Tengo muchas cosas, pero
I don't know what else to tell you. There's so much to say.
Creo que la escuela es muy buena, tiene buenas reglas, tiene
It's a
buenos
good
principios.
School. It has good rules. It's got a good building.
Y todavía no sé si debo como decir algo que no me parece o que deban cambiar, porque creo que, pues, lamentablemente por el COVID no me ha tocado conocer muy bien la escuela ni cómo trabaja.
I'm not sure yet if I should say anything that's needed because of COVID. I have not been able to be in the school as much because of the pandemic.
Pero no dude que conforme me vaya involucrando, yo les voy a comentar mi humilde opinión.
But no doubt, as I get more involved, I will offer my humble opinion.
Es todo.
That's all.
Alejandra, I'm Ginger, and I want to let you know that I'm impressed with what you shared with the board, and I appreciate your enthusiasm for the school and applaud you for being so involved in your son's education.
¿La entendiste?
No.
Dice, es Ginger, ella es la que está encargada de nuestro board. Ella dice que está muy, muy feliz en lo que usted dijo. Le gusta escucharte de lo que has hablado esta noche. Está muy impresionada para todo lo que has compartido y gracias por estar aquí.
Gracias a ustedes.
She said, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. At this point in time, and I don't think I see our other candidate, Bonnie.
Yes, is she not on?
I don't see her.
Well,
I'm
she
checking
sent
both the
me,
attendees and the panelists, Ginger. I'm going to check on the attendees because if she logged on with that by mistake, we can convert her, but I don't see her name on here. I'm sorry.
I got an email from her earlier that I was not able to respond to that said she had not received the Zoom invitation. But I'd like to go ahead and introduce her.
Do you think, Ginger, that you can email Dr. Perry her email? Because
I
it might
did.
be, okay, so we can try to send it out again just during the meeting while we're here, just to see if she is able to check her email and log in, because she can still log in using that panelist invite. But you know, I'll continue to be vigilant, Kathy, so that you're able to run the meeting. I'll keep checking the list to see if she was able to get on.
Okay, thank you.
No
I'm
problem.
going to go ahead and introduce her, and maybe she'll be able to join the Zoom meeting. I know Bonnie Burrell from her being in Oglethorpe as a student and graduating with an MAT in early childhood from Oglethorpe University. I observed her teach in both field experiences and student teaching, and I found her to be an awesome teacher. She's innovative, creative, and as enthusiastic a teacher as I've ever seen. Bonnie currently teaches at Dunwoody Elementary School, where she student taught, which speaks to her excellent student teaching experience because she was hired where she did that. She's been there for 10 years. She taught second grade and is now teaching third grade, which is a very challenging year because there's so many expectations, and the content level achievement is so much higher than in the lower grades. Bonnie is gifted certified and also certified in middle school math. Bonnie asked me many, many questions as we discussed the possibility of her serving on the PATH board. They were great questions. She gave it a lot of thought and even asked her principal if she thought it would be okay for her to be on the board. And it just proved to me again how conscientious she is and how she will take the responsibilities if elected as a board member at PATH.
Thanks, Ginger. I don't think we have her.
Are there any questions from the board that I might be able to answer or provide further information? I will say that Bonnie is scheduled to have a tour of PATH tomorrow at 3:30 with Crystal to see the facilities, to see the mitigation procedures, and go into classrooms. She also meets many of the requirements on our new matrix.
Okay. Is there, well, with Bonnie, I don't see her in attendance.
We've gone ahead and resent the link to the email that we had a second time, but it was sent out earlier. I'm hoping that we have the same email. Nonetheless, I'll be in contact with her tomorrow. And I'm gonna call Ginger after the meeting to get her direct phone number so that we can coordinate for her visit. And I'll double check to make sure we have the proper contact information. I don't see her on either. I'm sorry.
At this point in time, is the board ready to take any action, or does the board need to go back and consider, well, one, we do need to interview Bonnie. Does the board need to go back and consider Alejandra's candidacy?
I would like to propose that we go ahead and vote on Alejandra's candidacy for the PATH board and wait until the next meeting when we can all interview Bonnie.
Okay, so I have a motion for to invite Alejandra to the board. Do I have a second?
I'll-
Was that you, Eric?
Catherine.
Or
Araceli?
Joseph or Sally. So
Okay, Araceli.
That,
Okay,
that is for both now,
Alejandra.
for Alejandra.
Yeah, the motion on the table is for to invite Alejandra to the PATH board.
Okay. Yo puedo decir como, ¿cómo se dice? ¿Que voto por ella o todavía no?
Sí,
Sí,
o
es hora
sea,
de votar.
sí, ahora es hora de votar. So, all in favor of inviting Alejandra to the PATH board, say aye.
I
aye.
All opposed? Action taken, unanimous. Alejandra, bienvenido a nuestra directa juntiva.
Gracias.
Felicidades.
Gracias.
Felicidades. Excellent.
Muchas
Okay.
gracias. Les prometo que voy a poner de mi parte, como les digo, no sé inglés, pero eso no va a ser una barrera. Vemos muchos inmigrantes aquí en los Estados Unidos que hacemos muchas cosas grandes como Aceli, que está en vecinos y ayuda a mucha gente. Y pues ahora yo aquí con ustedes voy a poner de mi parte, ¿ok?
She said that she's been so inspired by all the work that Aceli does for immigrants through the Vecinos organization. She plans to do the same through the DeKalb PATH board. Okay, next board meeting for Bonnie. We look forward, that sounds like a great introduction, Ginger. Thank you so much for that. And we look forward to meeting Bonnie. Moving on to our last item, second to last item, is there any other topic of conversation from the board that we want to bring up?
Kathy, I'm not sure if we can do that unless we amend our agenda.
Oh, that's right.
I'm
So
sorry.
is there any topic from public comment? Is there any public comment today? There we go.
We've got 11
Thanks.
attendees. I'm watching to see if anybody raises their hand. If you are an attendee at our meeting today and would like to make a comment for public comment, please raise your hand and we can go ahead and convert you. You will have 2 minutes to speak. And Kathy will explain the parameters for public comment if you wish to. I don't see anyone raising their hand.
Okay.
I would like to thank those participants for being on the Zoom call for the PATH board meeting and appreciate your interest.
And appreciate interest. Great. I agree, Ginger. All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn today's PATH board meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a
Se-
second?
Second.
Anybody want to talk about that? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Kathy, for doing
everybody.
such a great job.
Muchas gracias.
Kathy,
Gracias, Alejandra.
thank you.
Buenas noches, bienvenida, Alejandra. Good night,
Gracias.